Go music. All right. Hello. Welcome to day 4 of the Bangology Summit, the Bangology Cannabis Awareness Summit. This is day 4. You are in for another treat. It's going to be an amazing night. I hope that you guys have been enjoying the conversations that we've been having so far, and tonight is not going to be any different. So whether you're watching it live or you're watching it on the replay, just get ready for a great evening. So I got some questions for you. How many of you entered the sweepstakes? Did you enter the sweepstakes today? So I was explaining to someone last night that if you go, well, first of all, you got to be registered. Then when you get your reminder email, that's the email to remind you to enter the sweepstakes. So you want to enter the sweepstakes every single day. So it's like buying lottery tickets, right? You just aren't having to buy the lottery tickets. So you go in, you enter the sweepstakes every single day, you do some stuff that it asks you to do, and you earn points, right? So the more tickets, points you have, the more you increase your chances to win some of these amazing prizes that we have tonight. So make sure you enter the sweepstakes. If you don't know how to enter the sweepstakes, go to bit.ly/Bangology Summit. You can register if you're not already registered and enter into the sweepstakes, because we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to win. So tonight, I want to, before I introduce our moderator for this evening, someone told me, Dr. Tanya, when are you going to talk about the products? And I thought, I think tonight is a great night. So when I first decided that I wanted to create this membership, right? When I first decided that, I decided that it was going to be education. People needed to be educated. I didn't want people going around saying what I was saying. I don't do drugs, and not being open to understanding this plant and relearning how this plant can help you for wellness. And that's what the Renewing Extract Wellness company is. It's about wellness and how we use cannabis, whether it's a full spectrum or it's only a CBD or any of the varieties of cannabis, how we use them for wellness to create a better quality of life. So with that being said, I want to share with you our hero products. So our first hero product is the Intensive Relief Pain Rub. It is absolutely amazing. I don't play golf without this. So if you work out, you have any kind of pain, this is super, super awesome. So check it out on the website. I'll tell you about the website in a little bit. And then everybody loves a gummy, right? So we've got isolate and full spectrum gummies. They are amazing. They are vegan gummies, so they're not made with pork. And they're also on the website. So people usually ask me, well, Dr. Tanya, should I take the full spectrum or should I take an isolate? And what's the difference? So an isolate is just what it is. It's the CBD isolated out from all of the other cannabinoids. So remember earlier this week, we learned that there are 113 cannabinoids in the leaf. And so the CBD, it's only CBD, there's nothing else. Full spectrum, you're going to get a little bit of, maybe not all 113 of the cannabinoids, but you're going to get some more than the CBD. You're going to get some CBD. You'll get a little bit of usually 0.3% THC, depending on what state you're in. It's not enough to get you high, I promise you. Some CBG, some CBN. So you're probably thinking, whoa, so many things. Don't worry about it. We're going to have, after the event is over, we're going to have a session to really dig in so that you can understand more about the cannabinoids and which ones are best for you. So those were our two hero products, our pain rub, our gummies, our tinctures. Now we started out with CBD, CBG, and CBN, and they have been on back order. But we have this lovely CBD and CBG combo. And I actually love this combo as a tincture, the oil. I actually love it as a combo because what I would do is I would take the CBD and the CBG. So if you've got pain, sleep issues, or anxiety, and especially if you live an active life, CBG is really good for pain and inflammation. And several people said the CBG helps them sleep. So the cannabinoids will work with, I tell people that they're like a vitamin. It will go to wherever it needs to go to give you the relief that you need. So that's our pain rub, our gummies, our tinctures. And then we've got some non-CBD related products. We just added our candle. We've got 2 of these. They're amazing. This one is the lavender, and we have a teak wood. So, if you are just, especially for people who get the bang box, and you'll see that on the website, you want to light the candle, maybe have a gummy, and just have a really relaxing evening. And then, I grabbed 2 of the same. Well, our teas. We have our own green tea and our release and relieve tea. And one of our members who created these teas, especially for Bhangology. And so they're really awesome. And when you grab a tea, you also get this little ball here, because if you're not used to drinking loose leaf tea, no worries, we got you. So when you get a tea, you get a little tea ball for free. So one of the things that I'm excited about and why I wanted to talk about products tonight and introduce you to our product line is our partnership with Green Roads. So we're going to be offering these sleepy Z's. So if you're like, I don't know if I want to invest in a full bottle of gummies, I promise once you have some, you are, but you might be on the fence. I don't know. These will be great, and I'm so glad to be able to provide them. So you'll see them on the website as well. So our partnership with Green Roads, we were approved. We're glad to be able to provide their products in our online store. So that's what I've got for you. Now you're probably wondering, where do I go? How do I get this stuff? So, and I'll show this a little bit later. It's actually scrolling. I didn't want it to do that. But if you go visit our website, you can, if you see something you want to try, use that code, write it down, use that code TrueGreen, and try out something in the store and just have a great time. So I wanted to go ahead, share our product line with you, give you this 10% off coupon, have at it, have fun as you're learning, and really start finding out what works well for you. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our moderator. You guys know her. She's Dr. Dana. She taught us about the endocannabinoid system. She's amazing. She lives in New York, and she is an acupuncturist. She teaches in the School of Acupuncture. She just completed her certificate in medical cannabis education. I think I got that right. And she's a founding member of Bhangology. And so she's just awesome. She's a wealth of knowledge. And so I'm going to bring her on to the stage right now. Hey, Dr. Dana.
Hey, Dr. Tanya. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. Your intros make me seem way more important than I think I am sometimes.
Well, you're awesome. We love you, and we are glad that you chose to hang out with us.
Yes.
So
Listen, I've been here every night since, well, because I've been in your chats. We need a class on everything. I'm having an amazing time. This summit is everything.
Well, thank you. So are you excited about our guest? tonight?
I'm excited. We have an amazing guest coming up, and I can't wait to have this conversation with her. I don't like to call it an interview.
No, it's not. We have conversations around here. We have conversations. We talk. We keep real. We have real talk.
Yeah.
And,
so I'm excited to have this conversation with. My mama's here. Hey, Mom.
Hey, hey, Carmelita. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Carmelita. Call Carmelita. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot what I was saying. My mama distracted me. Now I got to be on my best behaviors. But I'm really excited to have this conversation with Michelle. We're going to talk about cancer, chemo, and cannabis. And so I hope this is going to be just as delightful and knowledgeable and amazing as all of the other sessions were.
Very good. Well, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you introduce our guest, and then you will bring her on in.
Sure.
So I'll go back to the green room. Have at it.
So, hey, everyone, I'm so excited to bring to you our guest for this evening. Our guest is Michelle Barrett Gower. I hope I said her name right. She was born and raised in Southern California. She is married to Mike Gower for 10 years. They have a 10-year-old son, Keelan, and he lives with his family in Riverside, California. Michelle's the owner of Touch of Comfort Birkenstock. It's a family shoe business operating in Corona, California, and they've been there since 1991. She has a Bachelor of Arts degree in political science from California State University. She has an MBA in leadership and organizational change, from Pepperdine University. She is a small suburban farmer with 6 dogs, 6 chickens, and a goat. She's currently growing fruits, veggies, and herbs, including cannabis. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. She has been a medical cannabis user since 2019. And she started Cancer, Chemo, and Cannabis on Clubhouse in February of 2021. So if any of you guys are on Clubhouse, stop by her room, show her some love, and get engaged in the conversation. It's Cancer, Chemo, and Cannabis. A little bit about Michelle. Michelle was diagnosed with stage 2B high-grade triple-negative breast cancer in October of 2019 while working as a senior consulting manager specializing in communications and change management for a firm in Phoenix, Arizona. Most of her career was spent working with technology clients throughout the U.S., engaging in digital transformations, rolling out new software for employees, cultural overhauls, and significant process improvements. Most recently, she's worked with a client in Northern California to assess the need for restructuring the procurement and supply chain department and financial software. Michelle is the real deal, you guys. Michelle's life, though, however, was changed even more dramatically when after chemotherapy, surgery, and radiation, she received news that the cancer had spread to her lungs. So she's now a stage 4 metastatic breast cancer survivor, currently undergoing chemotherapy, immunotherapy at City of Hope in Newport Beach, California. No longer able to work and travel as a consultant, Michelle now connects cancer and chronic disease patients with information about how cannabis can contribute to treatment success in helping manage pain, inflammation, nausea, appetite, insomnia, and mental health symptoms and side effects from treatment. She's working to spread the word that cannabis can help manage symptoms and side effects, as in some cases, aid in treatment success. So I want you guys to help me welcome to the platform, Miss Michelle Barrett Gower.
Hi.
Hi, Michelle. Please.
Dr. Dana, hi. How are you?
I'm good. Am I saying your name right?
You are. You are.
Awesome. Awesome. So,
all right. So I see over here on the chat that your mom likes Birkenstocks. So I apparently we need to hook up Dr. Dana's mother.
I guess so. Look at her, you trying to use her connections already.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's Carmelita. Is that your mom?
No, my mom.
Oh, Carmelita.
No, we'll look at Carmelita too. That's fine.
Whatever. Everybody gets Birkenstocks.
All
Hi,
right.
Dr. Dana. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here with us on our 4th night in the Bhangology Summit. So we've been talking about cannabis and in different areas. This week we were smoking legal, cannabis and sexuality, cannabis and food. That was amazing as well. And tonight we're going to talk about cannabis, chemo, and cancer. So I'm really excited to be here to talk to you and to just kind of learn a little bit more. I am in the health field background. Cancer is not one of my primary focuses, so it's an opportunity for me to learn from you as well. So I'm excited to be here and excited to talk to you.
Awesome.
So why don't you, Michelle, tell us about we can start with you telling us your story. I gave a brief summary of your current status as
Sure.
I called you a cancer fighter. Right now,
I don't know the right word. It's so funny because we talk about battles and survivors and warriors and all different things. And honestly, I think there's days when I feel like I'm all 4 or 5 of those, but there's some days when I'm just Michelle and I'm just that mom that is battling, this vicious disease that so many women, especially, have kind of been hit with. And so that's what I'm here for. I'm here to try and help get out the message. I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I was diagnosed. So October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I was taking a shower, doing a little monthly check just because it had been on my mind. And I found a lump in my right breast. And it was pretty profound. Like it ended up being 4 centimeters. So if you can judge from that, it was about the size of a walnut. Right. And rushed in, had my husband check. I'm like, how has this been there? No one's noticed. And of course, he's laughing at me. And I ended up going into the doctor and having it checked. And she said, well, it's probably just a cyst, but we're going to have it checked out anyway. But trying to get in, to treatment and to have those diagnostic tests done and, during Breast Cancer Awareness Month,
right,
it's actually really difficult.
Right.
Because everyone's already pre-scheduled. Thank God. I mean, thank God we should have such issues, right? But I did get in and I was diagnosed. And I will say I had a major intestinal infection prior to starting treatment. I was getting ready to start treatment at the end of December, and in early December I was in the hospital with some stomach stuff. And I had, and I told the nurse what was going on, and I found out that I had C. diff, which was like pancolitis, a major infection in my digestive tract. That's the small part of the story. Interestingly enough, as I was in that hospital, throwing up, everything you can imagine, the nurse shut the door and said to me, I'm going to tell you, I can't tell you this legally, but I'm going to tell you as you get ready to fight cancer, you need to be on cannabis. And I was like, or you need to be on marijuana is what he said, or you need to smoke weed. I don't remember how he said it to me, but my mom looked at me like, oh my gosh, there's a nurse telling us this, My mom is 82 years old and she's my primary caretaker. And when I say 82, she probably can still kick my butt, to be honest with you. Now I know I'm a cancer patient, but she's really strong. She still works 3 days a week. So she was kind of taken aback by the fact that somebody would suggest that. It was an interesting afternoon. And so we talked about it a little bit. I got some things, I was living in Arizona. So Arizona was not a legal state. It was a medically legal state, but not a recreation state.
Right.
Or adult use state. So I came here to California, which is where my mom lived at the time, and got some things and tried it. I wasn't really, I thought, okay, well, this is helpful, but I wasn't blown away. So, and I had only done a little bit of research. I mean, this guy's telling me this is going to help with nausea and vomiting. And so I'm going to get with what helps with nausea and vomiting.
So would you say that you kind of just went in blind with the cannabis? Like,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
the smoke. Let me just go grab something and smoke it and see what happens.
Exactly. Well, and this is 2019. So
Right.
even though we had adult use and in California, there weren't like in the neighborhood where my mom lives, like in Riverside, so Southern California. There wasn't a place where I could go and ask questions. It was a delivery service where you had to like text somebody online what you wanted and they texted you back. It was very different. Let's put it that way. For someone like me who came from this corporate background, I'm like shadow texting and having cash ready. So it was a whole new experience.
Well, that definitely had to be an experience, right? Because you that's
They're
like
pulling up in front of the house, and I'm going out and handing them an envelope of cash. I'm like,
and he's
you want me to
an
count
envelope
for you? The neighbor's looking. I don't know.
Right?
Exactly.
Wow.
And so I got started that way. And so I started with that and I didn't feel a big difference. I mean, but again, it was just me ordering something, online off of a kind of a menu. And so I was really sick because of that stomach infection. It compounded. And so I had 4 months of really intense chemotherapy with a lot of stomach upset and stomach issues. I lost about 50 pounds in that 75-day period, 3-month, 75-day period before they realized that chemotherapy wasn't working on my cancer and they would have to do surgery.
Wow.
So,
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So, because this was when you were in Arizona,
right?
Okay, and so Arizona is the state for medical use, not so much recreational use. And during this 3 to 4 month period, while you were experimenting with the mail order cannabis,
exactly,
with the mail order cannabis, I wonder if, did you kind of share that knowledge with your physicians that you were, because I would think that because you were taking it for medicinal purposes, that would be some information that you could possibly share with them at that time, or maybe no. I don't know what the
That's an interesting part of the story, actually, Dr. Dana, was because I was really sick. I lost, like I said, 50 pounds, and my doctor was sitting in a room with my mom and I, and she's looking at me and she's like, I kind of feel like, if you were my daughter, what would I tell you to do? And she goes, I know that you asked me about medical marijuana and you said that you had tried a couple things. And it was like a couple different edibles that I had tried. It wasn't even smoking. And she said, if you were my daughter, I'm going to tell you right now, that is the one thing that I think you could benefit for. So 2 people shut the doors in my life, 2 medical professionals, and said to me, this is what you need. I can't officially tell you this, but if you were my daughter, and she hugged me and she said, if you were my daughter, looked at my mom, this is what you would need.
Wow.
And, we owned a shoe store. We owned a Birkenstock store here. Now, granted, that was during COVID. So we were shut down here in California, and we had a store in Arizona that was open. But we have medical professionals come in and out all the time. And so we have the opportunity, like this, a pool of people we can ask questions to. And, the doors were shut and these medical professionals were telling us, this is what you need to do, but I didn't tell you. And, and I'm not going to tell you how to go about doing it, but I just have seen other patients that have benefited from it. Yeah. And so that was when I decided to get serious about using cannabis as part of my treatment.
And that's good. Call Carmelita says, what a beautiful question. But the doctor say, if you were my daughter, what would I tell you to do? And I find that that's beautiful also because of the level of empathy that she was able to share with you in that moment. And it's unfortunate, but we don't see that a lot within the medical professions or with most doctors. I mean, some people have some really good doctors that will take the time and talk to them, hug them and say, if you were mine, this is what I would tell you to do. But the reality is that when we do go see medical professionals, they're like in and out because they see you, they see your breathing, they type their notes up in their phone.
Exactly.
So it was good for her to share that, to show that empathy and share that moment with you and your mom. Like that.
It was very surprising because she was a very cut and dry, kind of very firm doctor. She was like, this is the chemo you're going to be on, and it's going to be hell, and we just have to get through it. That was in the very beginning when I first met her. And she was kind of like the kind of doctor that's like, this is what you're going to do. You're going to drink this water. You're going to drink, half your body weight in water practically. And this is how you get through cancer. And it was only when she realized that all of those
those things kind of weren't helping the way
they weren't for me. Let's put it that way. They weren't hitting what I needed.
Right.
And taking, more and more Percocet or more and more, and I'm sure we're going to get into that, more and more nerve medicine and different things. She was just piling it on you to the point where she said, I could give you another pill to help maybe with the sleeplessness or the energy, but this is what you need.
Yeah. And I think that's important too, Michelle, that, she was able to individualize it for you.
Exactly.
Like cancer. So this is what we do for cancer. We give this pill, we give this prescription, we give this, and that's supposed to work. But then, realizing in the moment, every patient is different. Every person is different. Every body is different. And so taking the time to individualize that for you, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, she was a great doctor. Ended up leaving her though, however, as my oncologist when we had news of the metastasized disease in my lungs. It was in both of my lungs, and it was I had 15 to 17 nodules that showed up in my lungs in a 3-month period. So it's pretty scary situation. And my Arizona doctors felt like I would get better care here in California. So I up and moved to California. So I moved to the legal state. The land of cannabis, right? Southern California, right? You should be able to buy it on the street corner. I had already figured out that wasn't the case. But thankfully, this is now, I ended up moving here about 8 months after I started treatment. So that summer. And things had changed pretty dramatically here in the California landscape. And there is now dispensaries open and specialized medical dispensaries open. So it made it a little easier, I will say.
Okay. So moving from Arizona to California, almost said Canada. That's moving from Arizona to California. So now you have more access to the cannabis. But did you know what you needed for your specific condition, right?
So by this time, I had started researching. And so I knew that it was a little more than just some edibles. As a matter of fact, when I had a single mastectomy on my right-hand side, because of COVID, with COVID, everything with COVID, just changes your treatment. I could not have a double mastectomy because my left side was considered an elective surgery.
Oh, wow.
Because there wasn't active cancer in the left side. So when I had my mastectomy, I was in the hospital. I came home that night, did not use any pain medication, completely rehabbed myself with using cannabis for pain and inflammation. No infections, nothing, everything was clean, recovered well from that. Went through radiation. And ended up, then after all of that, they didn't have a real plan on how to deal with my meds, and so I moved back here. But during that time period, I was online. I was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. So doing my research.
You just blew my mind, and I'm going to tell you why. You just said that you had, I can't say the word, mastectomy. Mastectomy, and you went home and did not take any pain medicine?
No.
That you treated your pain with cannabis only?
Yes.
That is amazing.
I will tell you, we were blessed. We had someone come in our Birkenstock store here in California, and my employee had told him what I was going through. And he was a grower. He grew his own, just kind of in the backyard, from what I understand. But his mother had cancer. And so they were growing for her, and they had really refined a process. They had a topical and they had a tincture, and it was THC based that they gave me. And they said, this is what you need to recover from the surgery. And I said, okay. And that's what I used. I used the topical and I used the tincture, and I did not have to have, obviously, any antibiotics. I couldn't take them anyway because I have a history of C. diff.
Right.
So no antibiotics, no pain medicines, no anti-inflammatories. Came home, and through meditation and mindfulness and breathing exercises and then cannabis, nothing.
Okay. So I just want to say to the people out there watching, listen to what Michelle is saying, right? She treated pain, surgical pain, with cannabis only, THC based, but no opiates, no antibiotics, no other pain medication, an oil and a topical. Now, I'm not saying I'm not against medication. If medication is your thing, if you want to take a Tylenol, Advil, ibuprofen, any of that, go on, do so. But know that there are alternatives out there. And that's what this is all about. Just educating everyone to let you guys know that there's always another way, a natural way. I won't say a better way, because one person's better is different from somebody else's better, but there is another way. That's amazing. And so they gave
the interesting thing was they had given me in the hospital, they said they were giving you pain medicine in the hospital and we can't control your pain. And I was like, well, I use cannabis, so it's going to be a different threshold. So I'm going to have a higher pain threshold. And I'm having this conversation with these nurses and the doctors. I mean, the surgeon knew that I used cannabis, and she's like, okay. But it made me so they had to give me more morphine in the hospital because that's their normal treatment, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of their approach. And I was so jittery and so like bouncing off the walls. I was really happy to get out of there. I was happy to get home. My mama was there. She had my bed all set up, everything all cleaned up. She had her food ready in the kitchen. And she was making her pea soup and her chicken noodle soup and all the rest. I'm telling you, cannabis and my mom saved me after surgery. But yes, I mean, that's the thing, right? So my husband has psoriatic arthritis. And at one point we were at a big hospital chain here in California. Let me just say that. If you're in California, you'll know. And they gave him he was taking Dilaudid orally, which is a major pain medicine, along with a fentanyl patch.
Wow.
So he had 2 different pain medications going in at one time.
At the same time.
These doctors had given him for his pain, and it still wasn't, he was still having breakthrough pain. And so, I mean, I will say probably 5 or 6 years ago, our family went through this kind of revolution where we weren't going to do that kind of stuff. We got rid of all the pain medication in our house. So, it was kind of a lifestyle for us. I will let you know that. So it wasn't like I just suddenly said, oh, I'm off of the opiates and I'm done. But I mean, it wasn't that hard because I had what I had done. And so let me back up a little bit. What I had done is I had done my research during that time period. So I had researched different strains. I knew that I needed a really strong indica strain also to help. And so the person who gave me the topical and the tinctures, we had that conversation. But I mean, other than that, I just knew that I had talked to somebody and told them what I was going through, and they gave me what I needed to get through it.
Right. So I had a question for you about the specific strains. So you did the research on the specific strains. And so did you try different ones to find out which worked for you? And did you try THC and CBD, one or the other?
I did that later. So, I mean, after I got through my mastectomy and was going through radiation and moving here, where I had access to different things. Right. And let me just say, when I was living in Arizona, and you kind of covered this a little bit in the intro, I was moving around kind of from city to city. I would go there for a year, live, work with, in that area, and then move away. So I never got driver's license from there. So I couldn't even get a medical card in Arizona. I didn't have a driver's license. So I was driving the 5 hours back to California to come here to where I live, or my mom was doing it. And so I have a funny story. So my mom is 82, and there's one time she was flying to Arizona. She goes, "Do you need me to bring you anything?" I'm like, "You're not going to I'm not putting you on an airplane, with any kind of cannabis products.
Right.
In your body. You're 82 years old. Well, you don't know what they're going to end up doing to you. She ended up getting us some special bag. And allegedly she flew to Arizona, let me just say, with some special bag that she went to the dispensary and got. So my mom was dispensary comfortable way before I was. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I was going to say in the chat that your mom's a boss. I was just about to say your mom is gangster.
Yeah, my mom had heard this story too about a mom whose son in New York City, where you are, had epilepsy and some other issues and just the medicine wasn't working. And so she went and she kind of penetrated almost, kind of an underground, what we would call now a legacy market of cannabis to get her son what he needed. So she kind of saw that, and then she was all, going Walter White on me and figuring out how she was going to get it. It was very funny. But I will say that my mom drove it back and forth allegedly for about 6 months until we got here. Then once I was in California, the land of milk and honey, then I could find out about strains, and it was literally like the Wizard of Oz, right? So I moved here to California. I went to I call it my home dispensary, but it's the dispensary that kind of taught me everything about what I know now. And it was like Oz had opened up before me, and there's these really skilled, educated people that are answering questions. And I'm like, no, but I really need something to sleep. And then they're telling me about CBN and full spectrum products. And I was like, oh, so I will say the one thing that I tell every person that I talk to, older, younger, whatever, is, you need to find a good medical dispensary,
right,
if you can, in your area. And if you're using Weed Maps or Leafly, there's all these different websites you can use to kind of find what you're looking for, is to really find someone where you're not kind of dealing with a 20-something hipster. And 20-something hipsters, I will tell you, know a lot, because they're anti-drug war, anti a lot of things, and I will tell you, they taught me a lot about cannabis. But to really ask those kinds of questions and feel comfortable, I suggest really finding a medical dispensary and getting that. So that's what I did. Is I found this place where I could go and ask my questions, along with online research.
And
too.
Did you feel like, when you, and probably in California, it's different than going to a dispensary somewhere where it's not, well, maybe not, I'll just ask my question. Did you find that when you went into the dispensary to ask your questions, to get more information, did you find it comfortable talking to the bud tenders about what you may have needed, or did you feel a little reserved at first?
Well, it's definitely, I was definitely reserved. This was a whole new thing to me, right? So, I knew a little bit about a couple different strains, and I think I heard there was 4,500 different strains, or 4,500 different strains is what I recently heard. And I knew about a couple strains that were beneficial to me. So, or that would be beneficial to me because they were indica strains, and they were OGs. So an OG strain is something that is a little more original, older, hasn't been hybrid crossed out. So I know a little bit about, but no, I was at that time, so green. But I happened to find a bud tender again. And part of this is, and I don't know, religious or not, God was with me and directed me in this process. I will tell you, that's my 100%
all the time
belief in that. He is faithful and he is good. And got me to the right person who really told me that
God is all up in here. So
he is. Honestly.
Feel free to tell how he was a guide in this whole process. That is absolutely fine.
Yes. So what happened was I found out that I had MET. So I had metastasized disease, and I had been smoking. So I couldn't. I was like, well, I don't really smoke anymore, I guess, because I have lung cancer, and I had no idea there was all different kinds of medicines out there. Really, honestly, transdermal patches or patches that you can put on your skin. Creams, different things. You talked about some of Bhangology's products. I had no idea that there was this universe of medical products out there. And for me, CBD was always something you got on Amazon. I had no idea that
Right.
you could get some good, actual good quality CBD out there that would be, you know, effective for what you need. It's not all about THC and psychotropics
Right.
and
Well,
kind of getting your
now
brain
you
right.
can get your good quality CBD from Bhangology. You don't have to go to Amazon anymore.
Yes.
We got you covered right here.
No more Amazon for me. Well, I don't want anybody to go to Amazon for that.
So
Yeah.
how long would you say did it take you to find the strain that worked well for you?
I was always pretty aware of what would help me with what I was going through. It's just I had no idea at the time that I kind of started and I came here to California and I was really getting involved in cannabis and industry and talking to people and movers and shakers. And for me, that was always what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk to this dispensary owner and find out how it went about.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I really had started talking to him and finding different things that worked for me that I you know, really started learning about RSO and things like that, things that went beyond that. And so that's really where my treatment kind of took the turn is as soon as I found out about my metastasized disease and the kind of treatment that I was going to go through next was where we geared up and we said, okay, let's put together a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't necessarily him because then I got involved in Clubhouse and I'm talking to these industry execs and different things on Clubhouse about cancer and cannabis, and they're saying, well, this is what you need to try. And it just, again, it was another Oz moment because there's people that are recommending products to me now, and I can look them up and kind of search them. So I found kind of a group of strains that helped me,
Mm-hmm.
but I found even better than that, a group of products or at least product category that I could draw from when I had differing needs. You know, I mean, the stupid cancer changes on you so often. You know, 1 minute you're dealing with insomnia and anxiety, and the next you're dealing with nausea and vomiting. Well, you know, honestly.
Right.
So your needs evolve.
You would have to do different strains or different
different
to deal with those different symptoms. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's different strains, I mean, and it's, you know, it's funny because I think now everything with breeding and everything in marijuana is interesting. It has kind of bred out a lot of strain specific assistance that you can get, unless you're finding older genetics, let's say like a very true line. So getting into strains and all that, no. But I'm just saying I found something that worked for me, and it was some indica, and it worked well, and that's really where I kind of evolved from. And then I said, okay, well, I'm going to try some sativa over here because I'm not eating, and how can that give me some more energy? And it's just amazing to find out, you know, with different terpene profiles and cannabinoids, what you can do. It's for me, it opened up a whole new world, to be honest, about how I could treat. And honestly, a lot of people, I have a friend who had stage 3 melanoma, treated it with cannabis and RSO, FSO, and cured herself without treatment. So, I mean, and I truly believe that can happen. I don't know that I've seen that for my life, but I truly believe that can happen.
Right. And when you say RSO, that's Rick Simpson oil.
Rick Simpson oil. We try not to use that term so much anymore, just because that's associated with one person and what he did, and he doesn't like for anyone to use that term. But it's really full spectrum oil.
Okay.
And it's you know, a process by which you get this really potent dark colored dark colored oil, and it's thick and it's spicy and it's super, super, super potent. And so that's where you get full spectrum oil. It has different cannabinoids in it. I use it, I microdose with it. So I use this a little bit various times during the day to kind of help keep my pain at a certain level. But yeah, it was just, again, I think, and what I would want to encourage your members to do and people that are attending this conference is just go in and ask questions.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't expect, like, my mom was never going to go into a dispensary in the wrong part of town where there was guards out front and she was going to have to like get the gate open. I'm just telling you right now, in reaching out to our older population, she wasn't going to do that. She needed a clean place, and so I found her a place where she could go to. And I will tell you, my 82-year-old mother, who only swore she would only ever use CBD, got shingles. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, Okay, cannabis is not just a cancer drug. When
Right.
you're going through pain and anything else, cannabis is an everything drug. And when she was going through shingles, I had some topicals for her, and that, you know, she was in such intense pain, and some different topicals that would help her deal with the pain. And then she tried some RSO and didn't like it. I don't want to be that out of control, you know.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. Wow. And so would you say that your mom tried cannabis because she saw that it helps you? Like, do you think
Yes,
that
for
opened
sure.
her
And she
up?
saw that I wasn't like, it wasn't night and day, you know. I guess some maybe the older population and what they've seen, it wasn't like I drastically changed when I used it.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't even know the difference. You wouldn't know that I had just used some RSO or taken an edible. For me, you know, I do it in smaller doses, and so you don't notice a dramatic change.
Mm-hmm.
So when she started to see, and then she really got into it, and she was learning about growing and growing the plants, and kind of how when you're growing your own medicine and when you're really putting that love into it, you're going to get that back, and none of the bad chemicals that happens with commercial farming. So I think when we started growing, she was kind of more in tune and in touch with it. So I think she figured, you know, it wasn't so scary. And then she had gone into with me and asked questions for herself. She was taking Benadryl or Xanax every night to go to bed because she couldn't stop her brain. She's like 100 miles an hour.
Wow.
Couldn't sleep at night. And so I just said, here, just take the CBD gummy.
Mm-hmm.
And she saw some profound changes, and she was able to sleep at night. And her doctor, you know, I went with a doctor's appointment with her, and she's like, I don't have to give her Xanax anymore. She's really managing her anxiety symptoms and her insomnia with that. And he was thankful.
How about
So again, just a single, you know, and it's now I talk to her about CBN and some other cannabinoids that can help her sleep better and get better sleep and longer sleep. And, you know, and she's really just fine tuning that process. And that's really what we go through, I think, as anyone who's going to use, you know, something alternative. I didn't do a lot of that myself growing up, alternative type medicines or herbal healing. But when I wasn't getting the results, and when a doctor looked at me and said, you know, if you were my daughter, this is what I would do. And really, there's nothing else I can do for you to help you in this process except tell you that. You know, it was life changing.
it? Was, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we can see in the chat, like just hearing this.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Call Carmelita says asking questions is her preferred learning style. So that was an excellent suggestion that she's thanking you for. Nat's praying for you. His mom has lung cancer, so your story tonight has been helpful.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Barron slept through pain earlier, but it's powerful information, so he thanks you. Are you open to answering questions if they put?
Oh yeah, oh for sure. That's the way I love this. Let's answer. Let's do some Q&A and talk.
All right, so guys, if you have any questions while Michelle and I continue to talk, please put them in the chat, and she's open to answering them. But I think I heard you say, Michelle, that you're growing cannabis.
Yes. So
talk a little bit about that. That sounds fun and interesting.
Well, I mean, when you live in Southern California and there's sunshine all the time, you know, why not throw a plant in the ground? But yeah, so on Instagram, I thought, okay, well, you know, maybe I should try it. So I went to followed a couple different people that were growing, and thought, oh my God, this is not for me. Like, you have to have expensive lights and rooms and different things to grow, and I'm not that. And I hooked up with an amazing person on Instagram. Her name is Herbuds, but her name is Jenna. Okay. But her Instagram handle is actually, I think it's now Her Grows is her newest one. And she's like, Michelle, you're so silly. Like, here, let me send you some seeds, put it in the ground and see what happens. And that's what we did.
Okay.
And literally we put them in the ground and we watered it, and it started growing. And so, and it actually lived, Dr. Dana. It didn't die like a tomato plant that I've tried so many times to grow, you know. It was like, and it grew like a weed, amazingly enough. And so, so I started growing my own and doing it for myself. And yeah, I don't have my first harvest yet, but We'll
Okay.
see. We'll see how that goes. But I mean, it's growing in the soil and it's working out well. So
well, we're gonna need a follow-up to see how how your plants are coming out. We
but
do.
I mean, the amazing thing is when you can grow your own, you know what your inputs are, right? I know that mine's fully organic, and I know what kind of goes into it, and I don't have to worry about, whether it's been synthesized with, a protein, with like a chemical or anything like that. So.
Right,
Yeah.
that's true. So there is a question. There's a couple actually. Do you or your mom cook with cannabis? And
Okay.
if so, what do you cook, and how has that helped your symptoms?
So we do. So I mentioned that cannabis leaves, we use them in smoothies all the time. So as we're, when harvesting plants, I had some plants that didn't make it. So I just kept them and plucked all their leaves and froze them. And so we regularly use cannabis leaves in our smoothies. But no, I have a can of oil, a butter machine, or I have a Levo too. I have like a fancy butter machine where I put flour into the machine and some oil, and it infuses and it does all that for me. And, I think for both of us, including my husband, I mentioned earlier, he has psoriatic arthritis.
Mm-hmm.
Cooking and using more CBD rich strains is what we use for that, and topicals has helped his inflammation with his psoriatic arthritis as well. And he's not a THC user, so I have to kind of sneak it into him. So usually that oil is kind of the best way to do it.
Well, he knows now.
So, well, I don't know. We'll see. Grammy and I are hiding it from him. But so we do cook, and not a lot. So I would love to say that we were.
I gave it up when I became.
It's back at the end of the hallway. So we do cook a little bit, not too much though. We're not cookers. My son just had a thing in his class where they were working on a project, and everybody had to send in a recipe. And he told his teacher, my family doesn't have family recipes because we order out so often. And I was like, maybe we should start cooking at home.
I tell leave it to our kids. They tell everything.
They're the first ones to put you out there, I'm telling you.
Right. So Nat asked if the leaves in the smoothie, does it alter the flavor?
No. It's just like kale or any kind of spinach that you have.
Okay. Call Carmelita. Outside of me consuming all things Bhangology, do you have a top suggestion for how to start researching cannabis?
Amazingly enough, there's doctors and nurses that specialize in prescribing cannabis and what type of different cannabis you can use, different cannabinoids, and how you can really overhaul your life, right, with using cannabis in different ways, topical, ingesting, smoking, or however you choose to do that. And so I really suggest reaching out and finding that cannabis doctor or nurse or somebody who's certified cannabis educator like Dr. Dana, in asking those questions. I mean, they're all over the place, right? I mean, not all over the place, because I think it's still really a specialized in finding the one that works with you. I don't want to say that, but I had no idea that I could reach out and find somebody like that and really talk through what I had been going through. I did all the research myself. So there's these professionals out there that you can find that will help you answer these questions and kind of navigate these waters and figure out what works best for you. Like I said, I found some OG strains only by way of elimination that worked well for me. So don't go through what I don't. I mean, don't try it and stop, or, I suggest you try it by any means. Try it. It's not going to hurt you. It's a plant. But,
yes,
it's not like we're talking about poison that I routinely every week allow being put in my body. It's a plant, and it's put here to help us. And so, experimentation is important, but also talking to people and getting some advice is good things. Finding a doctor or a nurse or a practitioner, a pharmacist that can help you.
Okay. Nat has asked which strain has been most helpful to you. Her mom takes a pill daily from AstraZeneca, which helps with protein that causes her lung cancer. Natalie says she's introduced her to gummies.
the strain. So I will tell you the strain. It depends on what, again, what I'm dealing with. I will tell you the strain that I prefer best. My favorite strain is a strain called Midnight, and it comes out of Israel. And it's a really great strain because it helps a lot with anxiety, and you can tell I'm kind of high energy. I have to admit to the people that are following along, I think I told you this in the beginning, Dr. Dana, I had my second vaccine on Monday.
Yes.
And then I did chemo yesterday. So I'm feeling a little bit like, whew, a little bit kicked back today. But I will tell you, Midnight is a great strain to help kind of ease that anxiety and a lot of that for pain. I think any kind of an OG, a Kush strain is helpful. But I think that it's kind of like I live in kind of the inland part of California. It's what's available to me there and what I can find in my area, and knowing enough to be flexible on that. I am part of a compassionate program from one of the cultivators here in California, so I get my RSO for free. Well, I don't get it for free. I pay $1 for it. And so all of that is underwritten by a compassion program that's available to cancer patients here in California and disabled vets. And it's at least here, what growers and organizations are doing for people in need here is amazing. Because if you think about it, a typical FSO, you get it in a syringe and it's about a gram. And it's, $40 to $50 a piece. And that's 2 days for me. So yeah, fighting growers here is great. It was a great blessing for me. And so that's what I'm saying. I mean, really advocating for yourself. If you're a cancer patient, please don't expect or accept the fact that your doctors are going to give you all of the options that are available to you. Because I will tell you, it took me coming close to dying before my doctor would admit to me that there was, another way. Something and when I came out here and I met my oncologist here at City of Hope, I was all talking about cannabis. I was telling them, I'm a medical cannabis patient. I believe that it can help in treatment. And so, I kind of came at him in a way that was kind of like, if you're going to disagree with me, you're not going to be my oncologist. And I have this fancy designer cancer that you want to study. And I used it to my advantage.
As you have, absolutely.
So, and he said, no, I'm fine with it. And, as a matter of fact, City of Hope wants to know, because I'm on immunotherapy, and immunotherapy works to help your body target cancer cells, right? And so it's really kind of rewiring the RNA in your system. And so a lot of times if you throw other anti-inflammatories in on top of that, it can screw it up. And so for me, I was asking those questions. Immunotherapy, can I use CBD as an anti-inflammatory? Are you going to be okay with it? And, let's have these conversations. And he told me, you're the only patient that's, either willing to tell me what's going on or, didn't have the sense to hide it and is open and honest with it. And so it's not necessarily for everyone.
Right. Because the reality is that not all doctors are so open to that. So, you were fortunate enough to have doctors that would, bring the information to you and then support you in your use of it. So
right. And so he obviously he's nothing. It's funny because he specializes in breast cancer. Thank God. He's not an oncologist who's a general oncology specialist. He really specializes in breast health and understanding what women go through, forced menopause and some other issues. And so he has open and honest conversations with me because he doesn't really have a choice. I have an amazing nurse practitioner as well. I think nurses and everyone they do all the work. But, my nurse practitioner, as a matter of fact, she even called me today just to see if I was okay, because it was the day after chemo, knowing that I had, had the vaccine. And so, again, I really encourage people, if you're not willing, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be your own advocate. You want to live. I have a 10-year-old little boy. I don't know. I think he just came in. I saw the door open. My mom too. But I have this family that's relying on me to be not only, I own the business, but my mom, my husband and my mom, they run it. That's their thing. But to be kind of, I feel like I'm the heart of our family, just because, and many moms would feel that way. I think my mom is, if you ask me, but, I need to be here to see my son grow up. I need to be here to be the one to tell him how to open a door for a girl, or
Right. Right.
not to do some straight. I mean, he's gonna make mistakes, but no bad moves. You know what I mean? Respecting women and respecting other people in our communities and things like that. So I always feel like I have to be here. There's a reason why I'm here, and it's to raise my son. And so I have to do whatever I can to advocate for myself to fight.
To be
And currently, so I walked in. I will tell you, when I started treatment for metastatic disease, when it spread to my lungs, I started treatment. I'm on a chemotherapy and an immunotherapy. We did a scan after 3 treatments, and my total nodule development had been cut in half.
That's
So
amazing.
not only were my nodules shrinking, they were disappearing because some of them were so small. So I will say I truly believe that conventional medicine can help. And I don't necessarily think that cancer is a death sentence, but I think, I've also used cannabis, and you can tell me, in all honesty, that it hasn't helped. Even if it just kept me alive, it kept me going, it helped relieve the pain, it helped me sleep at night.
But I think it did much more than that. But yeah.
Well, and it's so funny because I do know, again, like I said, people that are in treatment and use it for,
Yeah. And I know they say like cannabis is in treatment for cancer, like cannabis is supposed to be used for the side effects of cancer. It's supposed to help with the nausea and the fatigue and the depression and the loss of appetite, all of that. But I think there's so much more because as I can't remember exactly who, I think it was Laura on Monday, our bodies have an endocannabinoid system. So we were made to receive the cannabinoids. I can never say that word right. We were made to receive the cannabinoids, right? And so our bodies, what we have internally, was created to receive something growing from the earth. So you can't tell me, and this is my opinion, but you can't tell me that what grows from the earth that my body was created to receive, to make me feel better, is just to help with my fatigue and my loss of appetite and my anxiety and pain. No, it's deeper than that. So I feel that the cannabis regimen, the therapies that you took, aided in that nodule shrinkage and nodule disappearing.
Right. I mean, if you think about it, right? I mean, honestly, I think, certain types of cancer and certain types of disease have come about because we've evolved as a society.
Mm-hmm.
But, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, they were treating people without, modern medical technologies, right?
Absolutely.
And they say that, I don't know what you know. I don't know what you know, but I heard that they've been using cannabis in treatment for 3,500 years. So, and that's really, honestly, if you think about it, that's nothing when you look at the history of the world.
Nothing.
So, yeah. So, I mean, to kind of return back to treatments that worked and
yes. Yeah, absolutely. And even in my course of study, even if we don't want to go that far back, but prior to the prohibition, there were like cough medicine bottles with cannabis on it, like real I'm sure grandmama, somebody here, they grandma, my mom, I'm sure Lila Mae had something in her cabinet that said cannabis or something on it. So, we were using this prior, and I think with that's a whole nother discussion.
Whatever with the drug war, whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
If you're facing something where you really need something that the cannabis offers, I encourage everyone to try it. Try it, but I mean, go in and ask questions and figure out if you want. If you're having something that's bothering you, let's say it's arthritis in your hands, try a topical. I mean, you're not ingesting it. It's something that's topical. Let's see if that works for you. Kind of meeting people on your own terms or on where your comfort level is what I really encourage.
Yeah, definitely. I encourage that also. Try it, experiment, and see what works for you. I know I'm missing a lot of questions because I'm skipping.
Yeah, I'm trying to. But of course, look at me. I went through treatment, so I can't see them. So I'm getting up close here. It looks. What am I growing? So I am growing So I have, I'm growing some CBD. It's the strain I'm growing is CBD Monster is what it's called, but it has a slight amount of THC in it. So I think that even if you're going with a strictly CBD type of regimen and therapy, a little THC will get you a long way, right? So you just get a little THC in there to help with absorption and activation, and so I have that I'm growing, and I'm growing because it's my first grow. Everyone said try this seed. It's a white widow, and it'll autoflower and it'll grow. So that's what I'm trying is something called white widow.
Oh, white widow. Okay.
I don't know. When I decided to just start doing this and in growing, fortunately, my friend again that I met on Instagram got me sponsored, and she got me sponsored for these fancy lights and all the rest of that stuff. I don't do that right now. I'm just growing outside, but she got me sponsored for the seeds. So
awesome.
That's the only reason I'm growing what I'm growing. But I buy other things.
Right, you have to do what works. I get it. I understand. Well,
yeah, hope not dope. I mean, the fact of the matter is I was at the end of my, I was being told this was kind of end stage treatment for me. So yeah, I needed a little bit of hope. I didn't need, to be kind of tied down with opioids and a lot of other things that were just going to cause more problems.
Okay. I do have a question that I skipped over. Sorry about that. Barron has a question. He's a Barron is a cancer survivor. Cancer survivor on my throat, and the recovery is hell. At the same time, my wife is dealing with sciatic pain. You may have already shared this, but what would you recommend for us?
Again, well, it really, Barron, it depends on where you live, and if you're in a prohibition state or not. But honestly, some topical CBD cream would be a really great bet. I know that Bhangology has some, and I'm sure that they have all the documentation on that. That's great for your wife with sciatica pain. If you're in a state, not Georgia, where you can buy different everything. Did we get an answer on that?
No, not yet. Oh, someone's recommending Rick Simpson oil.
Yeah. Well, wherever you are, Barron, if you can go on Weed Maps or Leafly. Those are two websites, Weed Maps and Leafly. And you can figure out in your state what you can buy, first of all. And you can also in those filter for a medical dispensary. And I'm sure that there's some really amazing topicals for your wife that you can use as a cancer survivor that's trying to get your strength back. I'm sure Dr. Dana has better recommendations than I even have. But, I think a good sativa to help boost your workout and your flexibility training, I mean, is great. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a cancer patient who is trying to get other cancer patients connected in and to really remove the stigma, right? I'm a mom of a 10-year-old. I was the kindergarten soccer coach. I really was, because they had no one else that would do it. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. But I was the class mom last year as I was dealing in treatment, and the school loved it because then, students felt like they could ask me questions and I was on campus and things like that. But, I don't fit. Oh, Barron is in Georgia. Okay, Barron. Well, we might need to have a conversation offline. But you have these great ladies here that can help you find what you need. And I encourage you to really link up with someone who is a practitioner and who can really help find what's going to work for you and what your goals are. For me, it's to get up in the morning and get through my day and maybe eat a meal. So I suggest you reach out.
Okay, yeah. Barron, you can reach out to Dr. Tanya. And Michelle, I'm glad you said in your last statement that, you're just trying to remove the stigma. And I think that that's what this week has been all about. If we can just have a conversation about cannabis, just open, and, this is what we're trying to do, because it's been so stigmatized, and so many people, and I would say honestly, prior to a year ago, and prior to going on this journey with Dr. Tanya, you know, when you talked about cannabis, I would always side eye like, I know what they doing over there, right? Always be like, now y'all go ahead, y'all have fun, right? And so, you know, but then, you know, going on this journey and then taking my course and learning, like, there's a whole health benefit to cannabis. Right. Other than the recreational part, you know, and if recreation is your thing, that's your thing, go for it.
By all means, yeah.
By all means, like, no judgment, no shade, no anything. But, you know, one thing when I met Dr. Tanya, she says, I'm in it for the health and not the high. And I was like, yep, I'm on this train. And as she put in the chat, we're talking about hope, not dope. And right. So, you know, this whole week has been a conversation about removing the stigma of cannabis and really just talking open and honest and freely about it, and just having this conversation so that these conversations can lead to the removal of stigma, and, you know, me not giving a side eye to people no more when they're talking about
well, see, we can have that conversation and we're not necessarily passing a joint around, right? You know, we can have these types of conversations and be open and honest with them. And I know you spoke to my friend Laura earlier in this week, and she's amazing. And, and I mean, she takes the stigma out of everything. So, you know, I think, yeah, exactly. It's really just understanding that we can have these conversations, that, you know, your grandma might have something in her medicine cabinet. My mom certainly has told me about her grandfather and what he used to make up, with ethanol and moon. I don't know, but whatever. Yeah. But, you know, just thinking back to older school, before we were so reliant on pharmaceuticals, let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. Keytruda is a great drug and it's saving my life. Thank God. But, you know, there's other things that we can add in there that are more natural and that we can use for sure.
Right. Absolutely. Carmelita says she knows for a fact that her granny had a stash that mysteriously grew down by the pig pen. But we not going to tell that we heard that. So it's been wonderful, Michelle, having this conversation.
Thank you, Dana. It's been great meeting you and Dr. Tanya, and just being part of this conference, and all that you're doing is great.
Yeah. I wanted to, one last question before I let Dr. Tanya take over, is that, would you have, other than, you know, when you were saying ask questions and experiment, do you have any other takeaways for our viewers on what we've talked about?
Again, when you go to these Leafly, especially, if you put in kind of what you're looking for and how and what kind of, for example, if you were just dealing with nausea and you wanted to find something for nausea relief, you put that in Leafly and it will help you. And please feel free that this information is online and you can find it. I really hope that you search it up and look for it. If you're on Clubhouse, please join us in Chemo, Cancer, and Cannabis. We have open conversations like this one, you know, every Sunday at 11 for sure, 11 Pacific. But we have these conversations all the time, and we're having these conversations on Clubhouse. I've been trying to ping you in wherever I can, Dr. Tanya, for you to get involved too and to hear more. So yeah, it's an exciting time. I think across the U.S. you're going to see states that are legalizing and possible federal legalization. So I just encourage everyone to be open-minded and along for the ride.
Awesome.
Great. Yes, keep pinging me in. Dr. Dana, thank you so much. This has been a great interview. Michelle, you are amazing.
We just scratched the surface. We've got to continue having these conversations.
Yes. So I think some bots are trying to take over our chat tonight. I don't know what's going on, but I think that you are where your mom is a boss.
You know, next time I'll invite her in.
I know. A lot of the questions that I wanted to ask were already answered. I'm so glad that you agreed to being here with us tonight. And if there's anything that Michelle shared in her story, guys, that makes you want to even just consider doing your own research. This summit has been about educating people, because the more we talk about it, then the more we can make the decisions for our lives. And so definitely, if you're registered, you'll have access to all of the speakers. So don't forget to register so you can get all of the information that's going to go out after the summit. Again, follow Michelle on Clubhouse if you're on Clubhouse. If you're not registered, like I said, go ahead and make sure that you get registered for the summit, not only to, enter the sweepstakes, but that we're going to be sending out something with all of the speakers and how to connect with them and all of that afterwards. So Michelle, do you have any closing words that you would share with the listeners tonight?
Don't buy your CBD online or from a kiosk. Let's put it that way. I mean, not online, like Amazon. You're going to buy it online, probably.
Right.
Don't buy it from a kiosk, and have these conversations with your grandmother about good health, about, and it's all encompassing, right? It's good health, good eating, good living. And I bet she will have some wise words for you. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, guys. This has been another great night. If there aren't any more questions, I'm gonna just put Dana and Michelle back into the green room. We're gonna wrap tonight up. Tonight has been amazing. I thank you all for being here with us each and every night. We are at night number 4. We've got 3 more nights to go, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. So come back, hang out with us some more, bring your notebook, invite someone else to join the discussion, and continue to learn. This is an area where you don't always got it, but you're constantly researching so that you can learn more, so that you can, again, know what is going to work for you. I'm more about plant medicine now than I ever have been, because there's side effects there's so many side effects to the pharmaceutical drugs. And I'm not anti-pharmaceutical drugs, as Dr. Dana said, but also looking at, where do I need to use what? It's adding more resources to your pot. So thank you. Tomorrow night, join us, same time, same place, and have an amazing evening. Don't forget to enter the summit. Until next time.